Hello and welcome to today's presentation. We're here today to share some information and answer all your questions about residential housing at WWU. Today's presentation is part of a series of workshops designed to help you feel prepared and ready to start your college adventure at Walla Walla University. My name is Trevor Congleton, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Marketing and Enrollment Services. I'm here to introduce our subject experts and help answer any questions you may have. Today, I've asked Kristen Taylor, Director of Residential Life and Housing, to talk to us about what new students need to know about living in the residence halls at WWU. We also have with us today two Walla Walla University students who have offered to share their experiences of actually living in the residence halls and give you some tips and tricks that they've learned by taking advantage of the unique experiences that come with living in our residence halls. Also, we have Jody Wagner, our Vice President for University Relations and Advancement with us, who will be joining us at the Q&A at the end of the presentation to help answer any questions you have related to the current COVID-19 pandemic and WWU's response to it for this fall. Speaking of questions, at any time during this presentation, if you have a question, you can ask it by typing it in the chat box. We'll get to all your questions at the end of the presentation, which should take us about 30 minutes. If you'd like to download the slides that we'll be covering in this presentation, you can download them through the link in the panel on the right side of your screen. Kristen, I'll pass this to you in just a minute, but first, in the context of what we're talking about today, I want to share a clip that helps to illustrate what life is like at WWU. It's about the people you meet and the interests you'll discover while you're here with us. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do.
Life is a story. It's a collection of people and places, moments and memories, ideas and spaces. All great stories must begin somewhere. Ours begins where the air is clear and where ideas, energy, and people do life together. Each chapter of our story is shaped by those we choose to do life with. Life in all its splendor. We find worship and wonder in the abundant beauty of the vibrant Pacific Northwest. And savor the warmth and energy of a small college town. This is our place, a place that fuels our search for answers to life's big questions. What do I believe? Where do I belong? Who will I become? Here, we discover and offer our gifts to the world, crossing hallways, states, and continents, with hearts and eyes tuned to the needs around us. Here, we celebrate the true, the beautiful, the divine. These are my people, and this is the place we gather. What's done together means more than what's done alone. Swerving, curving, scaling, soaring, exploring, performing, creating, innovating. Love and friendship here, sometimes unexpectedly. Here, we find ourselves known, seen, understood, welcomed. The belonging we yearn for, we freely give. Here, in the middle of nowhere, we find fellow travelers on the road to everywhere. This is life together. This is life.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen Taylor. I'm the Director of Residential Life and Housing here at WWU. It's my job to oversee the residential life experience on our campus. So while there are several changes to what residential life on campus is going to look like because of COVID-19, there are also so many things that are still going to be the same. And I'm just going to go over all of that today. If there's anything that's unclear as I go along, be sure to just ask for clarification in the chat. And my goal is to make sure that you feel confident about what your everyday life is going to look like in housing. You can see the location of our 4 residence halls marked up on this map. We refer to ourselves as a residential campus because most of our students live in university-owned housing. We believe in living life together like you saw in the video, and we have a live-in requirement until students are 22 or have a senior standing. Of course, there are exceptions to this. So for example, if you're living with your parents or your grandparents, a direct aunt and uncle, defined as a sibling of one of your parents, you can submit your documentation to live off campus, but we generally have fewer than 20 freshmen that live outside of the residence halls. This gives you the chance to be a part of our vibrant or active, close community. WWU is committed to following and exceeding the guidelines put in place for Washington State higher education. And so social distancing and mask wearing will be a part of our new normal as we partner together for a healthy and vibrant community. We have reduced density in the residence halls, and our custodial facility services have been adding features such as capacity limits in study rooms. They've installed water bottle fillers on all the halls. There's hand sanitizers in all of the residence bathrooms and restroom areas. We also have Virex cleaning spray available to use, and all of these are just for additional health and safety measures. We have secured quarantine spaces, and we're moving programming to creative online platforms and outside wherever possible and as weather permits. Outside of the move-in process, the residence halls will be closed, and they'll just be for current residents only, so closed to guests. So let's talk a little bit about the residence halls themselves. So there are 2 halls for the women. Foreman and Conard are the women's residence halls. And Conard houses most of the incoming residents, while most returning residents will then live in Foreman Hall. And these 2 halls are connected by a sky bridge, and the main entrance for both halls is that main entrance into Foreman. We have several kitchens. We have 13 laundry rooms, a fitness center. There's community restrooms and bathrooms on each hall, and all of the halls have study spaces. We have 3 different configurations and sizes as far as the rooms go in the women's residence halls. Conard South has approximately 12 by 15, and then Conard North rooms are about 10 by 16, and Foreman Hall rooms are 12 by 18. Sittner Hall is the main residence hall for the men, and the majority of incoming students live in Sittner Hall. Mesky, our secondary residence hall for men, it's a smaller hall. It's mostly upperclassmen over there. Both halls have laundry rooms, study rooms, kitchen, community bathrooms and showers. And Sittner also has a large club, fitness center, and an entertainment and study suite as well. In Sittner and Mesky halls, most of the rooms range from 10 by 16 to 12 by 15, but there is a large variation of the different configurations within the rooms.
One great thing about our residence halls, and this goes for all of them, is that laundry use is free. So you can use the washers and dryers, and it's included in your rent. So you don't actually have to worry about bringing a bunch of quarters with you or anything like that. You can just go down and do your laundry free of charge because it's in your rent.
Yeah, great point. The laundry facilities all have high efficiency front load washers and dryers, and so make sure to bring your HE, your high efficiency laundry detergent. Sorry, get my mute going here. I just wanted to show you a few photos of the residence hall rooms so that you can get an idea of what they look like. You can get really creative when it comes to arranging, decorating. I've seen some pretty awesome setups within the residence halls. We provide a bunk bed, there's 2 desks, chairs, shelves, 2 closets, and 2 sets of dressers. All the rooms have windows, blinds, a sink, and a mirror. Some of the furnishings may vary room to room in the residence hall, such as the types of built-ins. If you have questions about your specific room, you can ask it in the chat, or we can also work with you one-on-one if it's very specific to your setup of your room. We can send that to you via email.
When you're shopping for room decor and supplies, one thing to keep in mind is that all of the beds need extra long twin sheets. So don't go and get the regular size twin sheets because they'll be too short. All of the mattresses are extra long, which is helpful for those of us that are a little bit taller, which is really nice to have.
Yeah, excellent reminder. Most of the mattresses are 36 by 80, so that 80 length is really important for those XL. So thank you for that, Trevor. There are also a few other particulars that we keep in mind when you're buying items for your room. So this year in particular, because we need to have a flexible mindset, we recommend that you limit the items that you bring and err on the side of just necessities to enhance your move-in experience. You can always bring more items back over the longer holiday break. You can bring, though, a refrigerator up to 4.5 cubic feet, and you're welcome to bring a microwave. And you may also want to bring a power strip because that's what needs to be used. It has to be grounded and have a surge protector with it and an on and off switch. Because of fire codes, extension cords are not allowed, even for a temporary item in the residence halls. Irons are allowed as long as they have an auto shut off, and then we just ask that you use those in the laundry rooms. On the other vein of that, we have the few things that we prohibit, and really these are just fire code safety reasons. A good rule of thumb is don't bring anything that could start a fire or hurt someone, of course, because that is number one as far as our priority is safety. So anything well, the fire marshal told me that a good rule of thumb is anything that cooks food outside of a microwave is typically not something that you can bring. So if you have a question about something specific, though, don't hesitate to reach out. Also, IT wanted me to remind you not to bring any outside internet routers because we do have access points in all of the rooms. And so they want to just make sure that we don't have anything interfere with the wireless access that's provided. And in light of COVID-19, I also just want to remind you to bring, hand soap, hand sanitizer, cleaning supplies for your room, cloth face coverings, any other wellness items that you see fit. Okay, so switching gears just a little bit, bringing a vehicle to campus is just fine. Students who bring a vehicle to college will be assessed a $45 vehicle registration fee for the year, and you must register your vehicle with campus security when you're checking into village housing or the residence halls. As we have an easily walkable campus, they ask that the students living in the residence halls only park in their designated parking areas.
Speaking of campus security, parents always ask me how they can know if there's an emergency on campus. Kristen, can you share a little bit about our emergency alert system?
Yes, all of our students are automatically enrolled in the Omni Alert system. In an emergency or a situation that needs a timely alert, students will receive these alerts via text messages and email. Parents can opt into this as well, and they would get the same information that the students would be getting. They will, well, another thing is I just suggest that you go and log in, and you can go through the campus security website, and then from there you can log in and see what phone number and email you have listed. And I just suggest to double check that each quarter to make sure that everything's updated and good to go.
Great tip, Chris. That's a great tip for everybody, Kristen. Now, for those that don't know me, one of my absolute favorite things to talk about is food. And of course, that means the cafeteria on our campus, of which I regularly dine at during the school year. Kristen, can you talk a little bit about meal plans for students living in the residence halls?
Yeah, all the students in the residence halls are required to have a meal plan, and with our dining services, and the students have multiple options. You can see them up there now. You can choose a plan that really fits your schedule. Meals will largely be to go, but we will have limited options for dine-in and social distance seating. And then the residence halls kitchens or the residence halls do have kitchens throughout. And so if you want to bake something or cook something, you have an option to do that as well. We're just going to ask that for this year that one person be baking and cooking at a time in a kitchen.
Sounds like a smart plan. Let's see. Another question that I get pretty routinely from students involves residence hall curfews. Can you explain how that works for students that are going to be living there in the fall?
Yeah, all students living in the residence halls do have a curfew, but that's just a time. The time is dependent on based off of your class standing. Excuse me. So your age, class standing, that sort of thing will help you know based off of that what your curfew is going to be. You'll also need to make sure that once you've checked into the residence hall that you fill out a leave slip. So between night check and leave slips, this allows us to have a safety awareness and do a check-in with every resident every 24 hours. Let's see here. Another thing that I'd like to mention about residence hall life is our worship opportunities, worshiping together. The delivery method may look a little different this year based off of social distancing, but every week we host 2 worship options in the residence hall. So we have AGA and OPS. AGA and OPS are the clubs within the residence hall. They do a lot of programming, but they also host a worship every week. And then the resident assistants, the RAs, also host another night of a worship. And then all the other nights are planned by chaplain's office or campus ministries. So each student is required to get 16 credits in a quarter, and that falls basically during regular class weeks. So it's 8 weeks. That averages about 2 credits a week. Some credits are a double option, and you want to just get that all accomplished before review week.
Now, this particular coming fall is, of course, going to be pretty unique. So for health and legal reasons, we won't be able to hold our traditional large-scale Tuesday morning community program where our entire campus usually meets in the same room. But we're looking at other options that could meet the same need. This might be something like a much smaller group of students meeting in the church in person on Tuesdays with everybody else watching live online, or it might be some other creative arrangement that our student life department is hard at work at. Stay tuned for how this develops, and I'm actually looking quite a bit forward to seeing what they come up with. Now, Kristen, you mentioned something about RAs earlier. Can you cover a little bit about who and what an RA is and what their responsibilities look like?
Yeah, the official title is resident assistant, and they're commonly referred to as RAs. So each RA or a team of RAs is assigned to a hall, and they're here to support this and basically the safety and all of that for our residents. So their training includes fire safety, mental health first aid, conflict resolution, spiritual mentoring, conflict management, and also just how to access resources on campus. So you'll have counseling services, disability support services, IT, security, work orders, all those resources that we have at our fingertips here at WWU.
Kristen, if a student is listening to this and they haven't yet signed up for a room, what should they do?
So step 1 is going to pay your enrollment fee, your $200 enrollment fee. And then next, you'll want to complete a residence hall housing application. If you already have a roommate in mind, that's wonderful. You can request them. As long as that person that you've selected also completes their housing application and requests you as well, then you'll be matched as a roommate. And then you can start this process right away if you haven't done it yet. And it's just WallaWallaULIVE/housing. So once you have your enrollment fee paid, your roommate is confirmed, and your room is assigned, we'll send you an email with details about your room and your roommate. Be sure that you're checking your WWU email for all of this information. So I just want to highlight that, like, make sure that you're checking that WWU email frequently. And if you're not seeing something there, don't hesitate to reach out to us so that we can fix something. We will start allowing residents to move in on September 4. Now, that's for Jumpstart residents, and those basically people who are coming from over 400 miles away. But you must make a move-in appointment no matter what date that you're going to be moving into the residence hall. So Jumpstart actually starts on Tuesday. So Sunday and Monday would be ideal days for you to move in. And you can sign up for a move-in appointment at that same website that I said earlier, wallawalla.edu/housing. So that's going to be your kind of your go-to to find all that information. So things to expect when you arrive on campus to move in. We're going to send you a full detailed information list as we get closer to the date. So this is just an overview, but you will have an assigned area to park your vehicle, schedule a time, and an RA will come and greet you. So at that time of your scheduled time, they'll do a wellness check, temperature check. They're going to confirm that you have your cloth masks and complete your move-in documents, give you your key, that sort of thing. You'll be able to have yourself as a resident and then 2 additional people. And then also you'll have a 3-hour max when it comes to moving your items, kind of an active move with your guests within the residence hall. So when you're making plans to come and go from the residence hall, we are just reminding you real quick here too that the residence hall is open pretty much year round except for over the Christmas holiday. So the residence halls will be closed starting the Friday after finals week at noon, and then it'll reopen the Friday at noon before classes start again. So be planning for those dates ahead of time. And if you want to look up any information or calendar dates or time frames, you can do that at WallaWallaULIVE.edu/calendar.
Now, Kristen, before we wrap this up, could you briefly mention some of the other housing options that are available for older students, typically those with senior academic status or 22 years and up, or those who might be married or have children?
Yes, we have houses, apartments. They kind of meet a variety of needs. We have studio apartments as well as 1- and 2-bedroom apartments. All of our units are on a first come, first served basis. So we can't guarantee that something specific is available for every situation. If you qualify to live off campus for fall 2020, you can contact us at village@wallawalla.edu, and we will assist you on the next step to help you get on the wait list.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. Okay, we are almost ready to open this up for questions. But before we do, there are 2 students here with us, and I'd like to ask them to jump into the conversation and tell us a little bit about residence hall living from their perspective. With us first is Rachel Molander, who is an elementary education major. And then also with her is Nicholas Marcondes with us, who is a junior health science major. Thank you both for being with us today. Rachel, I'd like to give you the first question. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience living in the residence hall? And do you have any tips or tricks for dorm life? Oh, Rachel, it's still muted. We are having trouble with this with the earlier presentation, and we can talk to her before, but whenever we start doing the live presentation, for some reason it blocks her, so she can't talk, and she's got great things to share. So it's doing it again. Rachel, I'm so sorry. Wave at everybody. Maybe she'll write something on a sticky note about what she likes. So we'll have you participate that way. So while we're going to have her doing some writing about things that she likes, maybe about the residence hall, let's go and switch over to Nicholas. Nicholas, let's see. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience living in the residence hall?
So I've actually loved living in the residence hall. My first year, I roomed with someone that I didn't know. He was from the East Coast, I was from California. And we're honestly still really good friends till today, till like our 3rd year. And it's really cool to just have that brotherhood like around you in the dorms. So like you won't expect it. You would expect to sleep earlier than you think, but the party goes on all night in the dorms. Not all night, but later than you would think.
Do you have any tips or tricks for dorm life? And adjust your camera a little bit because you're sitting pretty low on it. There we go. Perfect. I want to get a good look at you.
So some tips and tricks. So for productivity, I would recommend having a daily night routine, and a morning routine. Because with that, with having a routine that you do every day, it prepares your body and your mind to do what you need to do next. So if you have a good nightly routine, it tells your body that you're going to go to sleep. Or for a morning routine, it tells your body that you're going to wake up and start your day.
Great. Rachel, I don't know if you wrote anything down on your sticky note, but did you have any like study rooms? Oh, Nicholas, you want to talk about the study rooms real quick, and then we'll get to your next one.
Yeah, so the study rooms in Conard and Foreman, they have them in, I believe, every floor. They have a parlor that you can study in. And for the Sittner dorm, the halls, they have the den, which is on the first floor, and it's like a big room that you could either watch TV or play video games, or there's a room inside of that where you could study, where it would be quiet and private.
Great. And then what else did you have on there, Rachel? I'm trying to see it. Dorm events. Okay, so I have that question coming a little bit later, so hold on to that one. Let's see. Let's go and talk briefly, because as you all know now, I love talking about food. Let's talk about the cafeteria, because we always get lots of questions about that one. So my personal favorite cafeteria hack is combining the unlimited ice cream with the unlimited soda fountain to having all you can drink/eat root beer floats during the week. But what is both of your favorite meal at the cafeteria, or your favorite cafeteria hack?
So I love how it's a buffet, the cafeteria. Like, you could eat anything that's out there, basically. But my favorite is the eggplant parm. I usually don't like eggplants, but the way that they make it in the caf, I just love it.
It is pretty good. All right, let's see what Rachel's got. Oh, falafels and tea. Falafels and tea. Very nice. Yeah, both of those things are excellent tasting. I love those as well. Now, let's talk about dorm events. So Kristen mentioned a little bit ago that we have residence hall clubs, both AGA and OPS. Nicholas, can you talk a little bit about those clubs and some of the activities that they traditionally do through the year? And Rachel, get ready. We'll ask you what your favorite activities are that AGA hosts through the year.
So AGA is the women's club, and everyone who lives in it is automatically signed up to be a member of that club. So they put on a bunch of activities throughout the year for the girls in the club. And some of these things are hot drink Mondays, exercise classes. I know they have like Zumba classes. They have spa days and grab and go breakfast. And that one's pretty cool because grab and go breakfast is when they spread like breakfast foods near the front desk, and you can just grab it on your way out to class. And then some of their bigger events are like the AGA Mud Bowl, or they have another big event for the Mother's Day weekend. And for OPS, it is Omicron Pi Sigma, and it's just known as OPS, and it's for the men's dorm. So they have several events each quarter. It's the same thing as AGA, but for the men's residence hall. And they have hall versus hall events, like they'll have like a slam dunk contest where they'll go like first north against first south, just against each other halls. And they also put on the Mud Bowl with the AGA. And Mud Bowl is basically mud football. So the girls play against the girls and the guys play against the guys. And it's like super slow because we're like knee deep in mud. So it's not as dangerous as you would think. And it's really fun. I would highly recommend that one. You do meet a lot of people there because they usually have it at the beginning of the year. And then another thing that OPS hosts is a Super Bowl party that they have every year. And that's when they set up a projector in the lobby. They set up a bunch of chairs, order pizza, and it's a really fun time to watch the Super Bowl.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say Mud Bowl was my favorite thing, so it's a big tradition on campus. I didn't look forward to the weeks after still finding dirt after you've taken, like 14 showers, but you still find dirt somewhere, usually behind your ear or something like that. That was as enjoyable. Playing was super fun. Do they still give out T-shirts for participation in that? Or do they change it up? They used to give out T-shirts, so maybe they do something different now. Anyways, Rachel, what is your favorite AGA activities that go on? Mud Bowl. Yeah, see, Mud Bowl is a huge one. All right. Let's see. Okay. Thank you both. Oh, wait, did you have something else? Oh, you just were putting out something. What is it? And hall parties. I can't read the bottom because you're really tiny on my screen. Free food. Oh, yeah. Hall parties and free food. Yep. See, everybody loves food. It's a good thing, especially free food when you're a student. For whatever reason, that's super popular. All right. Great. Thank you, Nicholas and Rachel. Appreciate you guys being there. If you have any questions for Rachel or Nicholas, don't ask Rachel super complicated long ones, but if you want to ask her short ones that she can answer with a sticky note in the question box, I'm sure that she'll be happy to answer them. And likewise, Nicholas will be happy to answer a little bit longer ones if needed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up for the audience questions. Just a reminder, you can put that in the chat box, and we're going to start asking them in just a moment. But before I answer those, our team answers those, I want to point out some important dates for everyone to keep in mind. As Kristen mentioned, the residence hall opens to move in by appointment on Friday, September 4. And then Jumpstart also begins on September 8th, so just 4 days later. This is an important week of orientation for our new students, and all incoming freshmen are required to attend. By Wednesday, September 9, you should have paid your down payment, completed any necessary paperwork for student loans, and have signed your financial clearance online. You can complete this process starting next week, and we have a workshop that will walk you step by step through the process. And then on September 14th, you begin your college education at Walla Walla University. Up on the screen now, we have some phone numbers that you might also find helpful if you have any questions after this presentation. So you can see probably the most important number to keep is that Walla University toll-free line, 800-541-8900. Jot that down. If you call that one, you can ask for any of those departments that are below, and they'll send you there. Or if you know a particular department you want to just get directly talking to, jot down that number as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the audience questions. And let's see, the first one that I've got that I'm going to give to Kristen is, will masks be required in the residence halls?
Yes, great question. With the current Washington State guidelines, masks will need to be worn when you're not in your room. So your room and you're in your room with your roommate, that will be considered kind of your family group, and you will not be required to wear a mask during that time. But anytime that you head out, to head to the restroom or head to class, you will need to wear a mask.
Great. Another question is, can I live with my aunt who lives in the Tri-Cities?
I wouldn't recommend it, and the biggest reason for that is safety. It's about 100 miles round trip, and during the winter time, those roads are actually pretty bad in between here and there. So, and you would miss out on a lot of the campus activities by living further away.
Yeah, that's a pretty good reason why. Let's see. Another question that'll be for you, Kristen, is, can you move the furniture in the rooms that's there when you move in?
Yes, most definitely. You can do whatever configuration works for you. The only thing to keep in mind is that some rooms, like the Conard rooms, have a built-in desk, so it's not something that you'd be able to move there, but the beds are flexible within that seating or room, excuse me. So you can kind of move certain things around. It just kind of depends on the room layout.
Great. Another question is, how would you set up 2 beds in a Conard room? I believe the picture we had earlier only showed the one in there. So can you talk about some of the configurations that students come up with?
Yeah. So depending on the north or south rooms, sometimes the sink is in the middle of one of the walls, and then sometimes it's behind the door, just depending on the wing. And so I see a lot of people who either do like an L-shaped bed, having one by the window and one on the bigger wall, or they'll separate them out and kind of do them at different angles so that it kind of creates their own little special space. But you can always bunk them as well. They are able to, they're very flexible beds in the sense of raising them or lowering them. So you can get some of that social distancing in with that too.
Great. Another question is, do the windows have a screen and lock? And can curtains be installed? And what is the recommended way if they can be?
Yeah, so yes, they all have locks and can be closed, opened. We also provide on the lower floors some rods that you can also put in for additional safety measures within the residence halls. And then as far as curtains, we don't do any permanent installation for that, but there's a lot of creative ways to add some color pops. Some of the rooms already have like a rod that's up there, and that's actually an old version back in the day when I was in school, where we had blind or like curtains that actually were like this. We have blinds now. And so some of those are up in some of the rooms, and then some of them actually have like a balanced type look where you can hang things from inside there too. So it's really just about getting creative with your space, but we don't recommend any kind of permanent fixtures because of holes and repair and all of that.
Great. Good answers, Kristen. Let's see. The next question is, how does the dorm handle mail and packages that come to the student?
So Currently, it's a little bit different than, normally we just have the package and you can sign for it and get it right away. But right now, all mail is actually held for 24 hours. It's sprayed down, and then we process the mail after that. So there is a small delay from arrival to when you need it. So if there's ever an issue that comes up that you need something right away, though, you can ask us and we can do some special work. But it'll still come, at this point, it's still going to come through the front desk. There's just going to be a few extra safety measures in place.
Great. Thanks, Kristen. The next question I'm actually going to go ahead and give to Jody. So everybody, welcome Jody Wagner to the screen. Jody, again, she's our Vice President for Marketing and University Relations. And she's going to talk a little bit about helping answer questions related to COVID. So one of the questions was, are we going to be allowed to eat in the cafeteria?
Good question. Yes, you'll be allowed to eat in the cafeteria, and we're pretty excited about some of the dining options that we'll have available for you, particularly this fall during COVID. So we are going to be practicing distancing on our campus. So not as many people will be eating in our dining hall, but we will have safe space for students to sit and eat in the dining hall. So the dining hall will be reconfigured to allow safe choice of our regular dining options. And the menus have been reconfigured so that students can access food easily without worry about serving and safety. Also downstairs in our Student Association Center area, we'll be having a pickup location for students who use our dining app to pre-order their meals. So students won't have to actually go into our cafeteria space. They'll be able to order their meals online and ask for specific meals to be customized for them, and then go through a walkthrough area to pick up their meals.
Great. Thank you, Jody. Let's see. Next question, we'll go back to Kristen. When can we expect to receive the housing confirmation or room assignment?
So they've processed everything up until this point. Now, if it's a really recent addition, then it may be waiting for someone to match as far as a roommate. But if you haven't received a confirmation yet, please reach out. In this case, I think it's Foreman at WallaWallaULIVE or Sittner at WallaWallaULIVE so that we can double check and just see where yours is in the process.
Great. Another question coming at you. If we move in on the Sunday before Jumpstart, are we allowed to just stay in the dorms until Tuesday?
Yes, absolutely. Once you check in, you can stay in the residence hall. And also that means that once you check in, you would need to fill out a leave slip if you were going to stay with your parents or something like that.
Great. Let's see. Next question is, when can transfer students start moving in?
Oh, good question. So typically, transfer students start to move in about Tuesday, and we have all those days on the move-in schedule already too. So if you just want to pick one of those times and dates that fit within your schedule, we're happy to accommodate you.
Great. Let's see, another one. Once we move into the dorms, can we stay with our family separately one more night, say, like if they're going to stay overnight in the Valley? Or once we move in, do we have to stay overnight in the dorms?
Yes, you certainly can. How I mentioned it before is fill out that leave slip. And so you can actually do that right away. Well, once you're actually checked into the system. So you can let a dean know if you need help with that to figure out how to fill that out, but it'll be on our abode housing program. So the same place where you're filling out your application.
All right. Let's see. Another one is related to roommates. Lots of questions about that this evening. What if a student has been able to connect with their roommate? Are you able to provide a phone number to try to coordinate room supplies, et cetera? Maybe who's going to bring the fridge and who's going to bring the microwave?
Yeah, we can help you with that. If you want to just email us and we will reach out to the other roommate and just get permission to share a cell phone number, or vice versa. We can get the permission from you and share that with them. So we can help facilitate that conversation.
Yeah, and I think that, the person that asked this question is being really smart, too, to try to do some pre-planning for what you each are going to be bringing to the room so that you don't end up having too much of everything and cut down on all your floor space. Because some people like to have like a little mini couch in there or something for hanging out. So that'll be super important. So good thinking. Let's see. Another question, this will be for you, Kristen, as well, is are we allowed to visit friends in other rooms while in the residence hall?
Good question. Yes and no. So there's going to be capacity limits that we'll share with you. At this point, it's typically based off of the size of the room. So, and that's kind of going with the guidelines. At this point, we would suggest, though, that if you possibly can, that you would do that, or you would hang out in other options. So we'll have our study parlors that and study areas, our lobby for you and somebody else that lives in the residence hall, that you can utilize that space. It'll just be that you might see some tape on different items so that we can make sure that we have a capacity within there that fits within the guidelines and can kind of help with the social distancing. And then you'll also need to wear a mask. So we really want to, it's not that you can't, but we want to encourage you to keep your room space really as like your home space with your roommate as much as possible. And that's really going to help, if anybody does end up getting sick or has any symptoms, we need to do some isolation, some self-isolation, and then contact tracing with that. And so as much as possible, especially when we first get back, we want to make sure that we kind of move forward with as much social distancing as possible, but also just that you're hanging out in a safe way.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. All right, we're going to go back to Jody for the next couple ones, which we're getting close to the end of the question. So make sure if you have something that we haven't answered yet or you need something clarified, you put it in that chat box and we'll get to it in just a moment. Let's see. This was about I believe you talked about the cafeteria dining app, Jody, a little bit ago. Is that something new, and how does a student go about getting it?
Yeah, the dining app is new, and our students will receive information via email about how to download that app. There are a number of apps that'll be released to our students before they come to our campus. Everything from screening and temperature taking apps to the WallaWalla University app having information on it, and our campus dining app. So we'll be sending that information to our students so that they can begin utilizing those services. And students don't have to get their meals for takeout. They can eat in our dining hall if they choose to do that. There will be capacity limits there, but if they would prefer to have an eat-in experience in our dining hall, they can do that.
Great, thank you. Let's see, the next one is still for you, Jody. I heard that only one student is allowed in the kitchens, which Kristen mentioned earlier at a time, but what about common areas or like the gymnasium?
Nice. So I think social distancing is going to be sort of the rule of thumb, right? We need to make sure that we have the equivalent of 6 feet of social distancing in a space if we can possibly do that, just to avoid any risk of transmission and risk to our students. So the size of the room is going to matter, and the type of equipment in the room is going to matter, particularly in our gymnasium facilities. Students will be able to hang out in the gym facilities. They'll be able to use most of our gym facilities, but there are going to be some restrictions, reservation systems. We're arranging for maybe shorter use periods so that we can have frequent deep cleaning of equipment to make sure that as many students as possible can use the space, but that the equipment is sanitized and safe for them when they use it. So if the kitchen is a small kitchen, then it might be true that only one student at a time can be in there. But if it's a larger kitchen and we can maintain physical distancing, we're not just saying, oh, only one. It's really has to do with the size of the space for occupancy.
Great, thank you, Jody. This one can be either for you or for Kristen. Are there going to be any activities for students the weekend before Jumpstart begins? So if they move on Friday, is there anything going on that they should know about?
Sure. I think what we're doing right now is we're trying to create a safe entry for our students. So if they move in on a Friday, there'll be some Saturday options via live stream or in person, depending on where we are at the time in terms of our physical distancing requirements. There will be, some casual opportunities to connect with people on our campus, use of dining hall and so forth. But there, to my knowledge, is no real significant programming happening over that weekend while students move in, just because we don't want students to miss out, right? So there's no very specific programming that everybody should be able to be at. We are creating some hospitality options for our parents. We want to be able to connect with our parents. So there will be a time for parents to get some information, get a few little treats, maybe some photo opportunities for families that would like those opportunities, and connect with some Walla Walla people informally and safely.
Great. But once Jumpstart begins, I've already seen like a rough draft of their schedule. Once Jumpstart begins on that Tuesday, you're going to be running like crazy, and you're going to have a lot of different activities that'll be going on during the evening times as well as throughout the day. And so it actually might not be a bad thing for you to have a little bit of a rest for your transition before you get that. So you want to load up on your sleep and then be ready to run on that Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Does that anything else to add, Jody?
No, I think that's wise. You know, I myself came from Los Angeles to Walla Walla University, and I had to be dropped off much earlier than everyone else because my mom's work required it. And it was nice to be able to wander campus informally, to be able to kind of say hi to people at my pace and connect, to take a walk up and down College Avenue, kind of get to know what the businesses are on either side. There's a nice park behind the women's dorm to just sort of hang out in. You know, I've recommended for some freshmen who have asked me to bring a camp chair with them, you know, one of those portable, small, not like one of the giant ones, but a portable, small camp chair so that they can hang out outside on the lawn with safe distance with their friends and not have to be laying on their, you know, dorm blankets or something. So, you know, that weekend will be a nice opportunity to sort of watch everybody roll in and get familiar with the area.
Yeah, for sure. So I've got one last question, and this is going to be for Kristen. And that one is, actually, looks like there's two that just came in. The one question I had for you, Kristen, is can you talk a little bit about bicycles? Because I know that some students that are coming out maybe doesn't have a car, doesn't want to drive it all the way out here. What about bikes? Is that an option for students? Would you recommend that they bring it for exercise, et cetera?
Yeah, so I recommend a bike. We also highly recommend U-locks, though. Those, so not the more flimsy ones that can be cut, just to make sure that the bikes are as safe as possible. And if you do have a bicycle that is very fancy, you probably want to keep it in your room too. And there's typically enough space for that. But definitely we have bike racks actually all across campus. But like I said, make sure that you're purchasing one of those U-locks.
Yeah, that's going to be super, super important because we'd hate for somebody to swipe your bike. You don't want somebody to do that for sure. Let's see. The last question was, and I think you might know this one, Kristen. If I want to bring a vehicle only during the Jumpstart week, do I need to pay the $45 registration security fee?
So you could probably get away with it if you just have it there for Jumpstart. But what you'll probably want to do is just let security know so that you don't get a ticket or anything like that. So the public streets are typically monitored by the police department, College Place Police Department, but then the parking lots themselves would be monitored by our campus security. So you just want to let them know so that they have an FYI on that.
Yeah, and they're all marked pretty well with signage, so you'll know if you're parking in a place that you shouldn't be. At least I hope you know, because we hate for you to get a ticket. So yeah, just maybe check and let them know. Or if you're going to park in a public street, then they won't be checking that one. So, all right, Kristen, thank you very much. All right, that looks like that brings us to the end of our questions. I want to thank everybody that participated tonight and helped out. And I hope it was helpful and that you feel ready to move into the residence hall with confidence for this coming fall quarter. I want to remind you that we have 2 more presentations coming up. On August 5, we'll be hosting a workshop focused on walking you through the financial clearance process step by step. Many students and parents complete the process with us as we go through it, and by the end of the presentation, they're all finished. On August 12th, we'll also have a few representatives from across our wider campus to give you the inside scoop on their departments and help to answer your questions, such as, do you need to have a physical and immunization records before coming to college? How do you get your ID card? Different questions like that we'll be tackling. And then on August 13, we'll have a presentation just for graduate students and the information grad students need to know. So those are students that are coming to seek their master's degrees at the university. If you'd like to attend any of these online presentations, you'll need a separate registration for each of them. And you can sign up for them at wallawalla.edu/workshops. If you haven't yet had the chance to virtually visit our campus yet, I'd highly encourage you to do so. You'll have the opportunity to take a virtual tour of our campus with a tour guide, as well as meet with the academic department you are interested in. You can even get your financial questions answered with a one-on-one appointment with a financial aid advisor. You can learn more about that and sign up for a campus visit at wallawalla.edu/visit. We'd also love to have your feedback about today's presentation. When we sign off, please take a moment to take a brief survey at wallawalla.edu/comment. We want to make sure these presentations are as helpful as possible, and your feedback is very valuable to us. We always look at it usually the day after, and then we make adjustments for the next round of presentations that we do. So thank you for doing that in advance. For those of you who joined us late or would like to rewatch this presentation because you forgot something we said, we'll have this posted online this coming Monday, August 3rd. And we'll be sending you out a link with the email of the recording at that time for your personal use. If you think of something you forgot to ask, you can always give us a call or email us at info@wallawalla.edu or send us a direct message on our Instagram or Facebook accounts. Thanks again for being here, and we're looking forward to getting to know you and having you on our campus this coming fall quarter. We hope you have a wonderful night. Goodbye.